I think most people are aware that for the last 40 years, the middle class of our country has been in decline. That in Vermont and all over this country, we have people working 2 or 3 jobs. We have people working 50, 60, 70 hours a week just to put food on the table, just to make sure that their families can live with a modicum of dignity. And the reason for all of that is that wages in the United States of America are just too low.
That is a damn lie, and I'll explain why in a second. But if you enjoy these videos and you want to support the channel, my Patreon, PayPal, Subscribestar, and Bitcoin links are in the description below, or you can get one of these hard-hitting, conversation-starting shirts from the shirt store. Your purchase helps support more content and supports this channel, but the best thing that you can do is to like this video and share it with everybody you know. The reason I like headlines like this is because even Operation Mockingbird CIA media is forced to report on the hypocrisy of political parasites like Bernie when it becomes way too obvious to ignore. Sanders' campaign battles with staff demanding $15 hourly pay, which candidate says should be a federal minimum. Campaign workers for Bernie Sanders have taken aim at one of the senator's key policies in his 2020 presidential run, raising the federal minimum wage. According to the Washington Compost, some members of Sanders' campaign team have been lobbying to raise their wages so they can make the $15 hourly rate that the Vermont senator has frequently called for both on the campaign trail and in Washington's District of Criminals. Now, why would the workers of Bernie Sanders, of all people, have to take aim at somebody who wants to ram a $15 minimum wage down the throats of businesses around the country? And guys, let's wipe away the euphemism. It's not a minimum wage, it's a mandatory or mandated wage. It's a wage that the government wants to come in and grab you by the balls and make you pay. If you don't pay, you'll be fined. If you still don't pay, then men with guns, you know, the guns Bernie claims to be against, yeah, those men with guns, Bernie's government will come in with those firearms and throw your ass into a cage because you want to run your business your way. Let's listen to Bernie one more time.
I think most people are aware that for the last 40 years, the middle class of our country has been in decline. That in Vermont and all over this country, we have people working 2 or 3 jobs. We have people working 50, 60, 70 hours a week just to put food on the table, just to make sure that their families can live with a modicum of dignity. And the reason for all of that is that wages in the United States of America are just too low.
Here's why corporate-controlled, Federal Reserve-owned Bernie Sanders and anybody proposing a government-mandated wage, along with government-mandated health care and government-mandated student loan forgiveness, are wrong. The problem is not wages. The problem is the inflationary monetary system, which causes the continual increase in the cost of things people need to live. Low incomes are a symptom of the disease of fiat currency. The real solution is to stop central banks from their endless money printing, which enables governments to do its unlimited spending. The Newsweek article says, the Post obtained a draft of a letter that the campaign's union planned to send to Sanders' campaign manager, Faye Shakir, which read in part that workers, quote, cannot be expected to build the largest grassroots organization program in American history while making poverty wages. Given your campaign's commitment to fighting for a living wage of at least $15 an hour, we believe it is only fair that the campaign would carry through this commitment to its own field team. End quote. Guys, here's the deal. If Bernie feels free to engage in such clear-cut hypocrisy on this fundamental pillar of his own presidential campaign, one would be foolish not to ask what other hypocrisies and lies Sanders is engaged in. The letter states that field organizers are working at least 60 hours a week, which lowers the average per hour pay to $13 an hour. By some estimates, it's really $11 an hour. Now, there was an update to this article which says the Sanders campaign said it will reduce staff hours to ensure everyone makes $15 an hour. Reducing staff hours. That's part of what businesses have to do to keep from getting crushed by added wage expenditures. Let's say a staffer was working 60 hours a week at $13 an hour. That's $780 a week. Let's say they reduce his hours to 40 hours a week at $15 an hour. Now he's only making $600 a week. That's a $180 a week or $720 a month reduction in pay that Bernie's business had to adjust for, wait for it, a mandated minimum wage. But not only do businesses have to reduce hours, they have to eliminate positions. And by doing this, Bernie is demonstrating that a mandatory minimum wage is a farce.
And the time is long overdue for us to raise the minimum wage, which is now at the federal level $7.25 an hour, which I think under any definition is a starvation wage. We have got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, and what we are here today to say is that living wage is $15 an hour.
But let me be clear. Don't expect me to pay any of you bozos $15 an hour. I'm the CEO of this grassroots campaign, and I'm saving all them shekels for me.
The irony here couldn't be more stark. Many field staffers are barely managing to survive financially, which is severely impacting our team's productivity and morale. Some field managers have already left the campaign as a result. Bernie Sanders himself has had a great last couple of years, financially speaking. He's raked in a massive amount of shekels on the last couple of book deals, and now he's in, as he calls,
the top 1%.
Yeah, the 1% he's always railing against. The 1% he's always saying is living high on the hog
while their employees are barely scraping by on starvation wages.
And here's Bernie's chance to show us how it's done. You know, kind of be the team leader, and his own staffers are having to quit so they can live. One staffer said he needed a raise because, quote, I need to be able to feed myself. But then logic would ask, well, if you need to feed yourself, why the hell would you quit your job? Just reduce your expenses. But he's a Bernie follower, so what can you expect? Here's the deal, guys. We wouldn't even be talking about a government-mandated wage if we didn't have a Federal Reserve note of debt underpinning the financial health of our economy. Also, if Bernie and the other political clowns cared that much about the people having a living wage, why don't they just forfeit their $174,000 a year jobs, cut wasteful government spending, and get the IRS off our backs? Oh, that's right, because they don't really care about us. They care about themselves and pleasing their banking masters. Okay, here's the deal, and this is Economics 101. It's better to be employed at $5 an hour than to be unemployed at $15 an hour. When you drive up labor costs, you kill jobs, destroy small businesses, and raise prices. And who's affected the most? Unskilled poor people who depend on entry-level positions to give them the experience they need to become more productive and earn more money. Also, when you increase wages, quality goes down. No matter how you look at it, enforcing a mandatory wage is government artificially forcing wages above their productivity. In a market free from criminal government intervention, wages are determined by supply, demand, productivity, and profit. And as Bernie is unwittingly demonstrating here, by not paying his workers what he wants to mandate for others, he, as essentially a grassroots corporate CEO, is not willing to submit to such government intervention. But that doesn't do away with the fact that he's about to feel the burn as his hypocrisy becomes more and more evident to more and more people. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comments section below.